Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Max Frequency Podcast. I am your host, Max Roberts, and I have the pleasure of welcoming to the show a new friend, thanks to my friend, Brian Hankin, our friend, Brian Hankin, Wizawhat.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show, man. Oh, my goodness.
Happy to be here.
I'm so thrilled. We met in Brian's little essayist Discord server, video essayist Discord server, and I was like, I went through and I started watching everyone's videos. I'm like, I should get acquainted with everyone in this little server. And I look through your videos. I'm like, these look like stuff I'd watch. And then I saw your Star Fox one. I was like, I think I started watching that. And then the deeper I go, I'm like, I think I saw Growing Up in Donkey Kong Country. And so,
oh, no way. That's a deeper cut for sure.
So I've seen your videos before. I actually think even at the very least, I know I've seen your thumbnail for making the case for Paper Mario's partner characters, your first, at least seemingly first video on the channel. So,
super old one at this point.
I've gone back and rewatched most of them. I've avoided all of your Outer Wilds videos because I am not a part of the club.
That's a good call. You need to get in the club, but do it at the time that is best for you. So, and definitely don't watch that video until you are ready.
I was going to watch, I booted up Dear Wizawhat, and right at the top it's like, I spoil Outer Wilds. And I'm like, well, guess I'm not going to watch this one.
That one is probably a little bit more watchable, and you can skip around, but it's probably just better to wait and give the game a shot first. That's what I would recommend.
I want to give it a shot so bad. And it's coming physically to PS5 in a couple of months for $40. So I think
that is a great game to own physically, I think.
It's coming
such a special game.
With all the DLC too.
Perfect.
Physical. So I think I'll be set there. But see, we've already gone off on a tangent. We were talking about tangents beforehand.
Well, look, Outer Wilds comes up, and I'm gonna talk about Outer Wilds. So that's just the way it goes with that game.
But so Wizawhat, I'm just gonna call you Wiz.
Yeah, it's cool.
You're a video essayist on the YouTubes. It's kind of like, is that how you would describe yourself? Job title?
That's actually, I'm gonna sound like probably a snob saying this, but it's something that I've thought about a lot.
Sure.
And I think I'm mixed on the term video essayist, actually. I think, and maybe it's an insecurity thing, because I think sometimes video essayist comes with a negative connotation a lot of times, especially on like some of like more toxic like forms of social media. And I think when I look at my videos, the way I see them is some of them are definitely like in the, you could definitely describe them as essay type videos. But I think for me, like the way I view an essay and the way I view my content is kind of different. And for me, like I see like the storytelling aspects of my content rather than like more of a argumentative or like persuasive or informative even essay, if that makes sense. I kind of I identify more with like a documentarian for even my less personal stuff than an essayist personally.
Yeah, that's something I noticed. So for the listener who may not have heard, seen, watched, I think since the last episode or two, I've made 2 now, like video essays, and I've always wanted to do it and been inspired by who I would consider some of the greats, Javed Starrett, Rasputin, Nakey Jakey. Oh, I love Nakey Jakey.
Game Maker's Toolkit? Would you put him in?
GMTK. Yes, all the time. Every episode. Yeah. Doesn't matter the game. Unless, I guess it's Outer Wilds.
You listed off some superstars there in my book.
Yeah, they're some of my favorites. And I've always wanted to do it, and I've made videos for a long time. Always knew I was capable, never did it. And then something about seeing Brian kind of keep pumping him out. And I was like... And so Brian and I went to high school together. So we've been friends for, the last decade. And I was like, I can do this. And so he mentioned that he was going to start this little Discord server for other people that make videos like that, which could range from, I mean, all the people we just mentioned. They do things from the personal to game mechanics to, you know, gosh, all sorts of stuff, just like Avatar: The Last Airbender, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, maybe I'll get in there and that'll keep this motivation going. And within 2 months, I have 2 videos out. So I would say that joining the Discord has been a pretty good motivator for inspiration.
Yeah, that's great to hear. The community stuff is very helpful, I think.
Yeah, I think getting feedback has been huge and just kind of working things out together. But what I noticed this time around, because obviously longer than I've made videos like this, I've been writing. And it's literally in the title of video essay, but it's just an essay in a video. It's just writing, and what is writing but storytelling. And so I totally see what you're saying. It's just a storyteller or a documentarian. I mean, Javid does that, right? He has that Majora's Mask documentary.
Yes, he is like the king, and I aspire to
he is the king.
Even scratch that level like at some point of me doing this.
He's so good. Oh my gosh, I love all his work. Even when he's opening up a pack of Zelda cards, it's like this engaging history lesson of weird merchandise and Zelda history. It's so cool.
Yeah, I feel like he just brings a like professionalism and a style to YouTube that is just honestly not that common because you know, YouTube, I mean, I think as far as my style goes, it took a long time to like get to where I'm like most comfortable. But my work comes from inspirations on YouTube, and YouTube informs so much of my style. But I know Javid has like a super professional background and brings that to his content. And I feel like maybe more people with as much experience as him, like maybe aren't as drawn to the platform in the same way that he is. And you can tell like his videos, like they're always like pushing a new level for him creatively out of genuine love for the topics that he discusses. And so it's like, it's so unique and so professionally done, but also so genuine that I find it like really interesting to always tune into.
I mean, absolutely. And a great example was his Outer Wilds video, which is where I like you pop up in that video because you're a part of the club.
Yeah, I was surprised by that when I found out that I was in that.
And, you know, that is him. I'm in his shoes in a way of like, how is this game so good? Like, I understand Outer Wilds is a game where you like, it's got some sort of day loop mechanic where, you know, live, die, repeat, Edge of Tomorrow style, Majora's Mask, whatever. And you're in space and you're navigating, like, and you solve puzzles. That's what I know about this game. But everyone who's played it, you, Rasputin, and just about anyone else, it's like, this is one of the great games. It's great. You got to play it. Everyone's got to play it. Got to play it. And so when Javid made that video, I was like, I'm going to prove them wrong. I was like, all right, let's see how this goes. And he's like, I'm a part of the club now, boys.
It was such a unique angle. And it was like, yeah, I mean, it's such a strange game where, you know, sometimes like feeling that club aspect when you're inside of it and you are the one like me that is always trying to get people to play the game, it's not always a great feeling because sometimes it can feel like a little pushy. It's like maybe I'm coming across like really annoying that like I am like constantly trying to get people to play the game. Yeah. And so it's like, and it's also really hard to talk about what makes the game super special without spoiling a lot of the like, you know, the more important aspects of it. And the community is very collectively protective of those spoilers. And so it makes the game really challenging to talk about if you've played it, like just in general. And if you're trying to make content that anybody can watch, it's like I mean, I didn't think I was capable of doing it. It wasn't what I needed to say about the game. But then seeing Javid's video, it just put an idea to form that is so interesting, such an interesting phenomenon, like culturally, that goes on, like regarding the game, without actually like going into really any of the like content that is typically gated by like spoilers and stuff like that. And it's just like, God, the way he thinks is just so like, there's just like an abstractness to that, which was like, I was really impressed by.
Yeah, it's a killer video. I loved it. Everyone should go watch it. Go watch Javid's video, because you can watch it if you haven't played Outer Wilds. It works out great for you. I'm going to take it back to the top of my notes because I had a question I wanted to open up with as the icebreaker, but Space Game took over, and that's totally okay. In all of my research and like kind of prepping for this show, I found out that you, sir, were/are, I don't know if you still play, but a big Overwatch person.
Oh man, yep, we're going down that rabbit hole, aren't we?
No. Well, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
It's not a pain point for me. Don't worry.
Okay, cool.
Enjoy talking about it.
My father-in-law plays Overwatch. My father-in-law, my sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law play Overwatch all the time, like so much. And so whenever we're over there and I end up with a controller, I play Roadhog and I'm just running around hooking people. But I'm watching the video, which is a fantastic video, by the way. I loved it.
Thank
and
you.
your angle, your personal perspective there so much. But I figured since you're such a big Overwatch guy, you've poured hundreds, thousands of hours, I don't know, into the game.
Probably close to 1,000, if not more.
From we were playing it at a professional level on a team and all that stuff. So how are you feeling about Concord and Marvel Rivals?
Oh my God. I mean... It's weird that this question... I mean, it's not weird that this question is coming now, but it's my feelings towards it are weird.
Sure.
I kind of feel like an Overwatch boomer, where like I am resistant to change in a way. It's weird because like Overwatch transitioning into Overwatch 2 was a change that honestly a lot of community members feel extremely mixed on, even to an extent pretty negative on. And
where's the single player, Wiz? Where's the single player?
My opinions are so like my opinions will make people mad. Like the single player, like the PvE stuff, like I'm the type of person where if you watch that video you can see how enraptured I am with the competitive experience. Like I honestly did not care about the PvE.
Sure.
At all. And to me, it felt like a distraction from like keeping the game alive in a way that was satisfying for everyone, the casual players, the competitive players. And then I was like accepting of what they wanted to do with the competitive changes in Overwatch 2, like moving down to one tank and all that stuff as a tank player, which is kind of controversial. A lot of tank players are unhappy with it. But now with new games coming along, like I've put so much time into Overwatch that it feels comfortable for me. And like I can't even see myself picking up another hero shooter game. At least, you know, Concord, maybe it could be something, but like people are not optimistic about that game. Marvel Rivals, I'm especially not interested in, particularly because NetEase is just like not a good company. Like that is not a company that I trust. Yeah. So like Marvel Rivals, heck no. Concord, it's PlayStation, so that's out of the question for me.
Well, it's on PC though.
Is it on PC? I didn't know that.
It's launching day and date on PC, so
okay.
So you
either
theoretically
way
could play it.
I could play it. I think it's also not free to play and also has a cash shop, which is just like when you're double dipping, you really need to like grab people right off the rip. So not a good sign there. I think there's another game that people are being very secretive right now. I don't know if you have
the Steam one, the Valve one.
Yes, the Valve one, Deadlock. Yeah. So
I saw some footage maybe a month ago, but I just saw a headline. I didn't even read it today. It said it was like one of Steam's most played games with like 18,000 concurrent players over the weekend. So like it's like the worst, best kept secret. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a bit of controversy of people, breaking their non-NDA because there was no formal NDA and covering it on regular outlets. People were upset by that for some reason. And so I'm interested in it just very vaguely because I've seen a handful of people that were pro Overwatch players that have been like, this is the best hero shooter I've played since Overwatch. Okay. So I'm like, that rings like alarm bells for me of like, I need to keep an eye on this.
Okay. See, I feel like, so I played the Concord beta over the 2 weekends it was there. And the first weekend I just played by myself, and then the second weekend I played with one friend who decided to download and play with me. And it was infinitely better playing with another person, which makes sense in a team-based shooter game. And it was fun. The character seemed generic enough. I mean, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, essentially. I thought the moves were kind of cool. I think it's fine. Like, it'll be totally an okay game, and it'll be free on PS Plus probably within a year. I don't know. I do think some of the social media reaction is a bit over the top for it. It does feel like a type of game that's a bit late. And Sony acquired the studio while this game was already in development, so it's not like it was a full-blown, they bought it because they wanted a live service game. But anyway, I think it's going to be fine. Marvel Rivals just looks like Disney and NetEase wanted to get in. So whatever.
It's and I'm not a particularly big Marvel guy by any stretch either. Sure. I just see like a few Overwatch personalities that are known for being like very doomer on the current state of the game, and they're like, Marvel Rivals is taking over. Like, I can't buy into that like at all personally.
I feel like though, if anyone could follow up Blizzard in this hero shooter space, it would be Valve. That feels like the logical other studio to step up to this plate. So, and I think that game will do well because it has the word Valve on it. It will be obviously on PC, and it will undoubtedly be free to play. So,
there's just a reputation and pedigree there. Like it's the same thing with Riot. Like,
they
are
Valorant.
just a leg up on everyone.
That's Riot. Yeah, Valorant is Riot.
Valorant. Yeah,
Valorant.
I haven't played Valorant at all, and I do not plan to.
I don't want to get in there with the League people. It's too scary. I know too many people who've been sucked into League of Legends to know what it does to people.
Oh, so. It definitely does a lot to people. And that whole Overwatch is kind of like that, but maybe not as hardcore as like Riot games tend to affect people.
Yeah, you guys don't have what was it, $500 skins,
Oh my gosh, that
I have a friend who bought it.
It's crazy. It's crazy the like things that Riot can get away with that the Overwatch community will be like would never let the like Blizzard get away with. Especially now because Blizzard's reputation is just like in the toilet. So
and
like
also
any
it's just
hate
owned
is
by Microsoft.
Constantly amplified.
Like
yes.
It's another layer to it all.
Yep.
It's so goofy. I don't know, man. Those Cowboy Bebop and Transformer skins were pretty expensive, so I don't know. Get a little dicey.
They were. They were cool skins, but it's like, I haven't bought a skin since Overwatch 2 came out. It's like I feel a weird disconnect with a lot of the casual community because I feel like a lot of times people need these cosmetics and like progression paths to like feel like their time is valuable spent playing the game. Where for me, it's just like, it's purely the gameplay experience that I can't get anywhere else. And all that like knowledge built up that like fuels my personal interaction with the game. That's just the appeal for me. It's like is very intrinsically motivated to play the game rather than any of that cosmetic
instead
crap.
Of by a shiny number go up, big number go up.
Yeah.
I learned when I played Destiny at Destiny 2, nothing matters unless your Guardian looks good. So that was the... Now, I didn't spend any money in those two games outside of buying expansions to like keep playing them. But I do understand the philosophy. You gotta look good.
Yep, Halo is like that too. Halo is another
Now it
big
is.
one that I've played a lot of Halo, and like the response to like the Infinite. I mean, there was a lot of problems with Infinite, but like the whole like I don't know, armor core system where you like couldn't switch out like stuff freely with other like armor cores. I was like, I just do not care. I don't care. Like, yeah, I feel so alone.
All
in
I
this,
care
but,
about
like,
is how good does the DMR feel when I'm jumping and shooting.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
How good is SWAT mode? So
Big SWAT fan.
Are you?
Oh yeah. Of
Oh
course.
my gosh, kindred spirit. I love SWAT more than I think regular, like just regular
Yeah.
multiplayer. I love SWAT so much. It's not even.
It's
Funny.
great to just have the like variance in modes rather than like, because SWAT to me feels like, especially as Halo became more like similar to like run and gun Call of Duty type gameplay. Uh, it's like, I can hop into SWAT and get that experience, and then when I'm tired with it, I can just go back to the regular mode rather than just it being like that all the time.
All the time. Yeah. SWAT gives you that like Twitch quick kill respawn feel, and you can play a match, you can play a few matches for 5 minutes and like totally get satisfied, and then you're good.
Yep.
It's not
It's
a
a good
30-minute commitment. It can be whatever. I love SWAT. SWAT's the best. But I wanna bring it back to your videos. And one of my assignments, like I said, I was watching most everyone in the little Discord server's videos. And I scroll through all your videos, these look cool. And I see the type of thing that catches my eye, which is, that 2-hour retrospective, that type of video.
Right.
I'm like, ooh, I watch this. So I decided to go back and like watch the Star Fox one from beginning to end again, because I know I had started that one. I definitely had started that at some point. And I loved that because I rented Adventure as a kid. I bought Assault as a kid. I played the crap out of Assault, mostly multiplayer. Actually, I wish I had remembered this when I was making my first essay, which was about maps. And in my case for the game, I have maps of certain multiplayer levels and like where the spawn locations were for guns and stuff like that. I had hand drawn. I wish I had remembered that.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I played a lot of Assault, but then I found your Pikmin videos. I'm like, 2.5 hours about Pikmin. I'm down. And then
just unhinged ramblings about Pikmin.
I don't think they were unhinged. I don't think they were at all. But what was interesting to me about that is I've never played a Pikmin game. I think maybe except I think a kid down the street had it as a kid, and I like watched him play. But I've always been fascinated with Pikmin, and so I thought, I'll watch this. And then I watched a Pikmin 4 video. So it's really like 3.5 hours of just Pikmin.
Yes, it is a lot of Pikmin.
And I loved it. I loved both videos. I think they complement each other so well. And obviously they were almost designed to fit well together, right? You played every game to prep for 4, and then you talk about 4, obviously. So it's a very good package together. And what I really wanted to talk about with you from the top was your process about tackling a retrospective like that, or like the Star Fox one, because I've done a few of those in a written capacity for Breath of the Wild, Super Smash Brothers, and my biggest one with The Last of Us Part 2, essentially. Basically, Naughty Dog during the whole PS4 generation was like their whole history. And so like I know the level of research and depth I went to write that. But you basically did all of that and edited a beautiful video on top of it. And so I'm just so curious about your process, because you've got some really cool, I think cool and at least unique to my viewing experience. You've got huge quotes from interviews and articles. I think even you had Did You Know Gaming help in some capacities. Maybe I'm wrong there, but you were getting things translated. You've got people coming in and narrating stuff for you to have this like, that leans into the storytelling, right? Of giving a voice to a magazine interview and these, famous developers. So I'm just, how do you do it?
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of things that I can dig into. I guess the one thing that jumped out to me immediately, and I will stress this is that my research is like, it's challenging, but also I can lend a lot of that to the other people that are doing a lot of the work. So you mentioned like, me getting help from Did You Know Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
It honestly wasn't that much. I am like Twitter mutuals with Shane Gill, the operator of that channel. And so like for that particular instance, through my research process, one thing when you start to dive a little bit deeper into like what's available is like there's a lot of resources that are out there that are untranslated. And it was when I figured that out, it was like really shocking to me that like, oh my God, there's like, for all these like, I mean, Nintendo is like hugely popular, and to know that there's like all these Japanese magazines that are untranslated, that have gone untranslated for this long, and Did You Know Gaming right now is doing like a lot of the heavy lifting of like bringing that information over to the West. I was just like on Twitter one day, I was like, man, like I didn't even direct this at them, but I was like, man, it's crazy how much information is out there that is not like readily available to us, but with the Japanese audience, they're probably like super familiar with. Mm-hmm. And so I like vocalized that, and I was like, man, if I had the resources that I would need, like I would love to like be a part of that effort of getting more stuff translated. And so I posted that, and Shane reached out to me and he was like, hey, if there's anything from our videos that you're interested in to like look over, if we have like archives of stuff, like really rough archives. They have like really rough archives of stuff that's been translated. And so it's like, if I have it, I'll let you like look through it. And I was like, cool, that's awesome. And then he also offered like, if I found an article that I wanted translated, to reach out to him and see if they were interested in like looking into it themselves, because part of their process, as he explained to me, was it's, maybe people are not going to be too happy to hear this, but there is so much information that machine learning translation is actually very helpful in uncovering some of that. And then obviously for clarity, what they do is like when they find stuff that is usable and is helpful, like they'll reach out to translators to get it like cleaned up. And
you have to do it like that, especially at the scale and volume. You let the machine crunch through just like that rough outer layer. This is we're stepping it back a little bit, but it's like Spanish class in high school. Like Google Translate will get you so far. It may even let you pass the class, but you're not actually understanding the language and being able to go out to a native speaking country. And especially in the nuance of a conversation in an interview in written format in a magazine, you need that human translation, that ability to come in. That's why a game company needs to hire translators to bring it over into the native language. You can't just run it through Google Translate and expect it to resonate with the audience on the other end. That totally makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so, that is like their process. And so, there was like a few resources that I was able to dig in that way. And there was one particular instance where it really sunk in, like how difficult like it would be for me, like with my current resources to do what I really want to do. There's one website that is utterly fantastic for this kind of thing. Shmuplations.com, I think.
Okay.
This guy is owned and operated by one guy, I think, and he is constantly translating articles and magazine interviews and stuff for all different kinds of games. I know he's like, and he is like pure passion. Like he is going to translate stuff from like the most obscure games that you can think of that I've like never even heard of. and it's real. Like, his archive is like hugely impressive. It's incredible. And so when I like discovered that, when I was doing the Star Fox videos, when I first discovered like Shmuplations, and I looked into, he has a whole page that is like, here's all of the articles and stuff that I found that still needs to be translated. It's purely just a matter of like what I can get to. And so I could just look through that and be like, oh my gosh, I'm really interested in that. Like, I'd love to know more about this. And so when I was working on the Pikmin video, I noticed there were a few untranslated Pikmin things. And I reached out to him and I was like, just out of curiosity, like, what would it take to, get this translated? Because I'm really interested in this. And he was like, I do take commissions, but I've realized that, like, his rate for, and what really should be the going rate for anybody that's doing this, because it is a very challenging, I can only imagine it's a very challenging and demanding skill to be able to effectively translate and responsibly translate from Japanese to English and vice versa, and any other language.
Mm-hmm.
It was outside of what I could afford, as what I could justify to myself for like the return that I was going to get specifically on that information as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, that sucks. But, I totally get it. And like, I understand that, like, this is, that it was like a reality check for me. And instead of, commissioning that one piece, which I wasn't even sure was going to like give me a ton of information to help.
Have like this vital reveal. It's like, oh, Pikmin was secretly the
like this profound, like,
yeah,
like just breaking like incredible ground. Like, there was like no guarantee of that whatsoever. So I was like, you know what, I believe in this heavily. I am super interested in this. Let me just support the Patreon. And that's what he's found as a model that works for him. He has a Patreon model where, I chuck him a few bucks per translation, and he reaches out to the community and says, what do you guys want translated? Whatever gets the most interest, that will be my priority. Yeah. So that's kind of like the research process. It's a lot of, me just sifting. It's like, people might clown on this, but it honestly starts with, where can I find like the top of the funnel? I'm just going to go to Wikipedia, and I'm going to go through every cited source on this series, and I'm going to just follow it as far as it goes for me. Did You Know Gaming is a great spot to do that as well. I just watch a video, and I'm going to look at all their sources. I'm going to pour through all of their sources. Like, I don't, like, for anyone listening, I'm not just like regurgitating what they're saying, unless I think it's really vital to what I want to say. But I'm going to be pouring over all the extra details that they felt was not important to their piece. And so I think it's just honestly beneficial to everyone that, like, with more interest, like, more information can spread. And there's like a lot of nuggets that don't get picked up.
Sources. I want to just interject here and say thank you for providing a list of sources. I always love it when any article, video, podcast provides just reference material to what they were quoting from or pulling from. Thank you. I want to say thank you.
It angers me when people don't do that. So it's like, it would be crazy for me to not do that. And, if there's anything that I've missed, then for just anyone that may be listening, like, please let me know, and I'll fix it as soon as I can. Like, it's very important to me to just, I don't know, like, when it comes to those retrospectives, like, like, I like to share my experience with the games too, but for me, it's like the thing that really pushes me over the line to really commit to making these crazy long retrospectives is that research fuels the whole thing, because it shifts the way that I view the franchise. And it's like opens up so many perspectives. And it's like, Yeah, it's very interesting and like empowering to me as a creator.
I think it adds insight to the game's development and the decisions that they made for you to understand why a game is the way it is. Like Star Fox Zero, for example. Like, if you just play Star Fox Zero, which I haven't even done, I have a sealed copy, like right up there behind me, Wiz.
Oh man.
That I got for $20 at a shop. Not that I think Star Fox Zero will be rare someday. Maybe it will be. Who knows?
Oh, it will be. I'm certain of that.
Yeah, I guess
I'm
it will
certain
actually.
it will.
Yeah.
It just needs time to get there.
It just needs to get old.
Yeah.
But you play it and you're like, this sucks. Why would they do this? But then if you pour in and you go, well, the Wii U is really struggling, and Miyamoto really liked this idea of robots and control. But then you dig even deeper, and then you're like, well, what's the history of the Star Fox games that leads into this, and what are they pulling from these old games, and how's it all work? And you gain an appreciation and an understanding for it that, while it may not fix everything wrong with a game, it might help you just appreciate it and understand it from a design perspective even more. And the same could be inverted for a very good game or one that you love, and you love it even more because you're understanding the depth of it. Have you watched anything from I Finished a Video Game? He's got a channel over on YouTube.
Oh man. Okay, this is going to be bad, but like I think I watched a little bit of one of his videos, and immediately I was like, well, it wasn't even the length that really deterred me. This is going to be like peering into my soul, but like when I see channels that are doing something that like I want to do similarly, sometimes when they're really good, I'm like, oh man, like I can't watch this because it's going to make me like insecure about my own work. And like, yeah. So, and also I don't like to have other people's opinions like seep too heavily
floating
into
around
my own.
in your brain.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I haven't watched his Metroid Prime retrospective yet, because I'm currently in the middle of doing a season of Chapter Select, my like retrospective podcast on Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to know his opinions about the Metroid Prime games until I'm done recording them. But I've discovered him with his like 8-hour Castlevania video, and it's immaculate.
Yeah.
He plays obviously all of them and like dives deep into the research and the translations. And so it feels very kindred in that way of like the deep retrospective and the research and stuff. I love it when people just truly dig into the subject.
Well, I think you put it really well. I'm glad that the way you explained it is that, seeing, I think for me, what I want to get across is exactly how you put it, is not necessarily, is knowing why Star Fox Zero the way it is going to fix it for you if you didn't like it? No. But what I'm trying to do is, honestly, like, we've had the like wider discourse, like discussing all of gaming, is always changing, and I think it's always just been getting more sophisticated, and I want to like play a role in that, where it's like, I could just play all the games and like share my opinion. That would be way easier. But it's just like, it's just boring to me. Like it would feel incomplete if I didn't like, it would feel not like unique. I wouldn't feel like I was bringing anything interesting to the table if it was just purely like how I felt in a way. And when I started digging into the research, like it just kind of like awoken a perspective in me where it's so much more fascinating to try to analyze how a game like may resonate with someone else outside of my perspective. And I think you can like also relate to a wider audience, even if they are rigid in their own views. Like if you can you can be a little bit more persuasive when you like show the developer perspective in their considerations. And yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it that like it just I don't want to say more advanced, but like it feels more responsible in a way.
It's
to view games from like a wider perspective and try to understand them that way.
I think of it like my brain jumps back to taking a film class in college, which I feel like is probably standard fare these days. I don't know. But there's something about like you watch a movie and you like it. You're like, that's really cool. I enjoyed that. Or that movie sucked. Same sort of thing that we were talking about with Star Fox. It could go either way. And sometimes you know why. Like there could be something super apparent. But then there's all the subtle things that are going on that your brain is picking up on, but you may not even have the words to express why it's resonating or not with you. And then when you seek that knowledge or perspective from other people out, you kind of like, you start gaining a vocabulary almost, an understanding of the thing or the medium itself. And then you can articulate how you feel even better about it and understand it in a perspective. You see it in a new light. Spoilers for The Sixth Sense, M. Night Shyamalan, I guess. Like, the first time you watch that movie, if you watch it in an unspoiled manner, you're like, this is, well, you know, this is a cool movie, whatever. There's dead people around. And at the end, you realize he's dead the whole time. The next time you watch the movie, it's completely different. And it's because you have new understanding. And so I think when you look at a game, you play a game, and you're like, this is, you know, whatever. Let's take The Last of Us Part 2, one of my favorite games of all time. Have you played it? Or are you
I have
aware?
not, but I am aware.
You're aware? Okay.
Everything.
Spoilers for Last of Us Part 2, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, you the internet in general probably had a very harsh reaction to the opening of that game. And it's because they kill off the main protagonist from the previous game. And it's a very guttural thing. Like, you just, how dare you? But when you dig into, I mean, I think the game does a pretty good job of, there's a reason why. But when you dig into the decision-making process behind the whole game, like I did, I think you walk away with a way better understanding and appreciation for just the sheer guts to do that.
Seriously.
I haven't played every video game in the world, obviously, but like, I don't think a game has tried that level of a switcheroo, basically, since Metal Gear Solid 2, which also just the sheer guts to take a game and be like, you're not playing as Snake. and
that was a big deal, like, in a negative way for a long time.
And now you look at it and it's like the greatest, it's one of the great games.
Yes, that is a like everlasting, frustrating aspect of like the evolving discourse, and like it's so funny. Like, not on your video, but on Brian's video, on his most recent one.
I hate this.
I had an interaction. Yes, I hate this game. Very, very interesting video for anyone that's listening. Like, that dives into like the psychological, like, I would say like the psychological aspect of like putting a lot of stock in like why do we feel the need to like feel so much like negativity towards games that like don't resonate with us. Like, at the end of the day, you can make a choice to like realize maybe it's not for you, but like there is an intentionality behind like everything. I had an interaction with somebody in his comment section, and it was like kind of about like the Zelda cycle. Which Zelda fans are probably tired of hearing that, but rather than saying this is the Zelda cycle, like, this is the gaming cycle. Like,
what is the Zelda cycle? I've not heard this term before. I can guess. I'm making an educated guess. It's probably that everyone starts out liking the game and then grows to dislike the game.
Yes,
Skyward Sword's a 10 out of 10, baby.
Pretty close. Typically, I think most commonly it's like people start out to like it and then dislike it and then like it again. But also it kind of really started with like the Wind Waker, where like people really hated it at first.
Oh yeah,
like before they even got it in their hands. And then once they
Zelda.
played it, they were like, this is awesome.
Mhm.
And so, like, part of that conversation, like, I've been thinking about this a lot. And for me, what I feel like is really happening is like people are getting loud about the things that they are passionate about when it makes the most sense. So like with Tears of the Kingdom, uh I expressed this commenting on your video, which was
Mhm.
very well done, and your video talking about like the skydiving mechanic,
Yeah.
it captured the element that the developers were going for, and that makes the moment to moment play freaking amazing. And a lot of people felt that way when the game first was released. And like there's the honeymoon phase where like the flaws aren't appearing like so readily until you've really finished the game and you realize that there isn't more to experience to remedy those flaws, I guess. And so like when the game came out, almost unanimous positive reception across the board. And then as more and more people complete it, then the negativity starts to rise. And then it's like, feels like this overwhelming wave of negativity. And you almost feel like disconnected from the community for even liking the game. Like that's how I feel at times. It's like it's very off-putting and frustrating.
Yeah.
And this happens with a lot of games too. I mean, with The Last of Us 2, like I could very well see a world where in some time, maybe if a new Last of Us game comes out and like provides, I don't know how you could like, remedy, you can't like undo what they did.
Right.
But maybe you can
No.
provide something different that
there will be a third game, that there's
Yeah.
zero doubt in my mind, and they're clearly working on it.
yeah.
And there's
And it
ideas
maybe
of like
changes
where it
your
could go.
perspective.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the sequel already did too. Was it changes your perspective of the first game? At least for me, it does. It changes a lot because it directly answers questions that were left unanswered, and then you kind of take stock with that, and you go back, and you're like, oh, it's almost like when like a prequel comes out later after a stretch of games, and it changes your perspective of the first game. Or Star Wars, sorry, or Kingdom Hearts. In my case, I was thinking of Kingdom Hearts. They'll have a prequel come out like 6 games in. You're like, oh, now it means this.
That is like, I cannot get into
when's
the whole Kingdom Hearts.
When's the Kingdom Hearts retrospective, Wiz?
Oh, never. Literally never. Oh my gosh. Kingdom Hearts is a series that like I've tried numerous times for it to, I want it to grab me. With the first game particularly, I've started that up like 3 or 4 times, and I always like get to the same point where I've like it's just not doing anything for me. In the first game, it's like once I get to Agrabah, like I'll complete Agrabah, and then I'm just like, man, I'm just like not feeling like I don't know. It's once I've experienced like the Disney story arc from like a handful of worlds in either game, then I'm just like not feeling the overall like tension in the story to like really continue. I don't know if that's gonna like, if anybody that likes Kingdom Hearts will resonate with that at all. But I've felt the same way with Kingdom Hearts 2, where it's like I've started it multiple times. I get up to like, what is it, the Timeless River, like the Steamboat Willie type thing, and that's cool.
That's a cool level.
But that is like, after that, I just feel like I've had my fill, and I'm like, I just like, I fall off like every time. I don't know. I don't really know why, but it's just how I've responded to it.
We could go on a whole Kingdom Hearts because I've played them all. I love all of them except the end of 3, and I've hammed up my dislike of 3 over the years. I just really don't like how they conclude, a story I waited 15 years for. But what am I gonna do?
Yeah, I feel that.
But Birth by Sleep is my favorite, and it's the prequel. And what they do is, it was originally a PSP game, so it was portable in nature. And so they divided the story into 3 protagonists. And so the stories overlap, where like you'll have a character run through Neverland and you'll see hints or cutscenes or ramifications of another character's story that you haven't experienced yet. So then what they want you to do is, when you finish one character, you go and you play the next one. And then you'll see that moment. You'll be like, oh, that's what was happening, or that's who showed up. And so you get more and more of the overarching story that way. But also, that means playing through those Disney Worlds 3 games.
Oh, yeah.
With 3 different. So that may not solve your problem. That may exacerbate.
Do they like force you to jump over to the other characters at certain points, or are you given freedom to?
You can pick any of the 3 to start with. And like, you can play any of the 3, and you are playing that character's story to the end of their story. And so once you beat all 3, then there is like not an epilogue chapter. There's like a final 4th culmination of everything, like where all 4 or all 3 stories intersect and you finish it out. So it's cool in that way. I like that game a lot.
Probably not to the same degree of complexity or impact, but like I think of Sonic Adventure 2, and that game I loved that aspect growing up. Like,
you could just play,
seeing it all culminate, like the crossover from like seeing, like, you see Sonic's perspective, like being a rival to Shadow, and then when you see it from Shadow's perspective, it just like, I don't know, it's just like gives you a different angle with like a different flavor to it, and then it all culminates in like the last story, and that I love that. Like, I mean, maybe it was because I was a kid, but like that was just like so impactful for me. That was a blast.
It's always good. It's always a good time. So I think we've gotten a pretty good insight to your research process here. How do you make a video? I mean, you write it, you narrate it. I'm assuming that's obviously you write it first. That's got to be the first thing, and then you narrate it. You don't do like a roll of you talking most of the time. So I'm just what do you do? What are you editing in? What's the process there?
Yeah, so writing is easily the hardest aspect and the most time consuming. And it's like, I think that's what I bring to my videos. I think like I'm happy with my editing in some videos more than others, but what I feel like I bring is the writing and maybe a little of that narration flavor that like gets you in my head a little bit. But yeah, writing is just, it's like ever an evolving process, and I'm always trying to find new ways to make it go more smoothly that feel like they're not working. And a lot of the time it ends up feeling like banging my head against the wall. Honestly, it's like sometimes some things work for one project, but like, especially when you're like jumping between projects that are like a video essay that is like 20 to 30 minutes long, and you jump into like a 2-hour long video, a retrospective, like the needs are totally different. And so like I'm trying to like, I'm going through like a period right now where I have a failed project that I just had to walk away from, and I'm trying to make sure that when I jump into another one, I don't go in with the same naivety and the same process as I did previously. And so like for those kinds of videos, that means I have to hammer out the structure, and I have to make sure that I have a strong thesis, so I have something to follow throughout the entire thing. It sounds like a no-brainer. I'm sure like you probably have like a much more extensive, you actually definitely have a more extensive like educational background in writing than I do, probably, because
I have a degree in journalism. So
yeah, of course,
like, way more. So like when you source things, I'm like, yes, thank you. This is journalism 101.
Yeah. So weirdly enough, you know, writing was not something that I felt drawn to in any of my schooling. Like, I think I didn't really realize that I could like write to a degree that was like impressive to anyone until like I started doing YouTube. And then when I took a creative writing class in community college, and my instructor was like, it shocked me to get praise from her and be like, she told me like, you need to like, you're really good at this. Like, you need to like follow this. This is something that like you could pursue.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like really like blown away by that.
Really,
It's
what?
just, it never occurred to me. Yeah. And so, yeah, like, I honestly view my entire channel as like mostly a learning process right now. My brother
I think
makes
that's
a
everyone's
joke.
channel.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think one thing that is, I don't want to say frightening, but or threatening, but like imposing in a way, are those people that are really skilled in another field and they come in and they clearly know what they're doing as soon as they
Sure.
like start creating content. And so I have to remind myself that I'm still learning in order to not feel like completely like inadequate compared to creators like that. And so my brother has this joke where he says like, dude, you're in YouTube college right now. Like, you're still learning, you're still figuring out what works. And then
Right.
once it clicks, like, you'll be able to be more efficient. You'll be able to like get your points across better and in a more timely fashion. And so like with the retrospectives, you know, the Pikmin one just flowed. Like, it was very challenging, and I was under a very strict deadline for that, which was
Right.
it was super tough. I was working straight up to the wire to make sure that that video came out before the Pikmin 4 released.
So I actually didn't check this. So when did the video came out on July 20th of 2023. And so when did Pikmin 4 come out? Wasn't it July?
The day after. The day after. I literally got it the day before it came out, and I was so relieved to be able to do that. It was funny.
So
I
when
got a
did
few
you start
comments.
working on it then?
Oh yeah. When I started working on it, pretty much, I want to say like right after my previous video came out. I'm not sure.
Pizza Tower pilled.
Pizza Tower. What was the date on that?
I'm
trying to remember if I was like, yeah.
That Pizza Tower video, your editing, dude, was inspiring. I was floored. Like, not in a like, I can't believe he did that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so creative. Like, I truly loved your Pizza Tower video. I
appreciate that.
When you like, when you get to the P rank thing, I'm like, oh my gosh. You like captured the energy that I feel like this game is giving off. Like, you conveyed that in your editing style and delivery, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Dude, I'm so glad you feel that way, because that's something that I really try to do. And in that game has such a distinct energy that I felt truly like able to capture it in that way. And I feel like when you watch that video and some others, it's like a weird tonal shift for me. Mm-hmm. It's like I have like generally a more like mellow, like soothing, I guess, aspect to it. And then this is bringing like some crazy chaotic energy, which is like a huge shakeup. And
oh yeah, dude, you're like, your angles and your shots are getting all angled. They're zooming in.
Yeah,
your audio is fading out, coming in. You're just like getting really weird.
Yeah, that just came to me. Like, and I don't know if I'll ever do that again. I don't know if I'll ever be able to capture that kind of weirdness, but it just felt right.
Yeah. But anyway, that video came out March 25th of 23. So basically, what, April, May, June, July. So 4 months almost to the day before. Mm-hmm. So you played 4 Pikmin games, researched, wrote, edited, 4 months.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, it was like what ended up happening worked for me, but as I describe it, it's going to sound like a complete mess and a complete nightmare. So yeah, like a lot of it started with the research, and the writing was very challenging out of the gate. And, you know, I don't know if for anybody this might ruin the illusion of the entire piece or make portions of it seem worse than others. But the first sort of chapter of that video of writing about Pikmin 1, like Pikmin 1 is the game where there's so like it established so much and it did like so many crazy things for a new entry and a new IP. I found that extremely challenging to capture. And so I almost spent an entire month just working on that section, just writing that section. And once I got through it, like, and there, I had a lot of doubts about it too, but once I got through it, then it was like, okay, like there is a direction here. And I feel like I know how to translate this energy to the other sections. The other sections came much quicker to me. Like the Pikmin 2 one was like, you know, whereas the first section probably took a month to write, maybe I got the Pikmin 2 section done in like 2 weeks. The Pikmin 3 section done in like 2 weeks while I was playing Hey Pikmin. Got that section done in like a couple days. And it got like easier throughout.
You're telling me Hey Pikmin didn't take the longest?
Well, you know, Hey Pikmin, it's not a super complex game, but yeah, I mean, it's like it was like my process was also kind of like evolving throughout while I was doing that because you know, I didn't really have an outline. I was purely like, I'm just going to open up a document and I'm going to write down sections for each game. I'm going to write every single thing that comes to mind that I really want to say.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of draw a line through that as I was writing without hammering it out all the way. And I think I was able to do that because the Pikmin series, I think it has a clear thesis or a clear line to follow throughout the whole series. Like it's a game that is like weird and really beautiful, like very poignant in a surprising way for a Nintendo game. And throughout the series, they've just been trying and trying and trying to find new ways to convey that appeal to a wider audience. And so that was like, I always had that to hold on to as far as getting through that video. And so once I was able to get through all that writing, honestly, the rest of the process is very almost mindless in a way. Like, at least compared to writing, because of how like strenuous on the mind that I think writing is. You know, when I'm doing the narration, I just like get in my little stupid little makeshift closet booth.
Yeah, man.
And I just talk until I feel like I have satisfactory takes, and then I can just grind away at it for like 12 hours a day if I feel the need to. And that's often what happens, especially when I'm on such a strict deadline like that. Like the last month was like getting through like all the narration and the editing. Well, it was more so like probably like recording the narration and then editing it probably took like a week or two. And then the last month was like purely edit mode. And I was editing from freaking dawn till dusk, it felt like. And so it actually took a toll on me, and purely in pursuit of that deadline, which sounds bad, but it also taught me that, you know, having a deadline is a great way to get something done.
Deadlines are powerful tools. The catch with a deadline is it has to mean something.
Yes.
Because if you don't, if it doesn't actually mean something, you'll just kick the can down the road and it doesn't have that power. But when your deadline is something like a game is coming out and I would like to put this out before it comes out so that it's A, relevant, B, trending with certain traffics and things like that from just a engagement thing. We actually have a very similar timeline and process between your Pikmin retrospective and my Naughty Dog one, Chasing the Stick, which was I played through everything they did in the PS4 leading up to The Last of Us Part 2 and then chronicled Part 2's development up until release. And so I started that. I looked it up. I started that roughly in February of 2020.
Okay.
and the game was out in June. And originally it was supposed to be, I think, May, and it was this third delay or something pushed it to June. But that was playing what? I played all the Uncharted games again. So that's
Did
like
you play
5.
Crash?
No, just
Okay.
PS4 games. So The Last of Us and all the Uncharted stuff.
Yeah.
So, so that was a lot of that, and then all the research and writing and things. And I didn't even have to edit a video. But I get that timeline of the deadline though was the game coming out, right? Like I couldn't, and that's an effective deadline because someone else is enforcing that. Someone, I have no control over when a game comes out. You have no control over when Nintendo puts out Pikmin. So that's truly powerful. I think external deadlines are more helpful for me than making up my own, unless I'm like super committed to it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like something that I've learned, and this extends to pretty much all aspects of my life, is that, maybe my friends, if they listen to this and remember how I used to be back in the day about like getting lines to people and like scheduling like podcasts or whatever, they'll laugh at this because it was a mess. But this is something that I think I've grown into, is like my desire to like be accountable to others is what gets me into overdrive. And that deadline was the only way that I was going to be able to push through that, because like if I didn't have that deadline, like I would be spending more time wondering if I was even on the right path. I didn't have the time to wonder if I was on the right path. I just had to keep following it. And so it ended up working out because like maybe because of that, but also maybe because like the passion was just there for Pikmin, because it is like such an important series to me. And so like, yeah, I just find it's weird when I'm trying to build my own business as like a content creator, where like really in my head, I want to be more efficient. I want to like get things right and like also be able to push past like the imposter syndrome feelings to just write, to just go and like get through stuff even if it's not perfect. But when I'm only being accountable to myself, I find myself stumbling over more of those hurdles. Whereas like if somebody wants me to edit a video freelance for them, I'm gonna have that done. Excuse me for cursing, but I'm gonna have that done like ASAP, and I'm gonna make almost like maximum efficiency out of my time, because I'm not gonna be lazily like drawing up time and like at an hourly rate. Like I'm not. That just feels super wrong to me, and I understand that the time sensitive projects, so I'm able to get through it. But when it's me, like I start to like drag my feet a little bit, if that makes sense.
It totally does. A lot of what we're talking about right now is like super hitting home with me, because I just finished yesterday Adam Savage's book, Every Tool's a Hammer. Have you ever read that?
No. Sounds like I'd be into it though.
Yeah. So big recommend there. He literally talks basically about being a maker, a creator, someone who builds and makes things, which obviously has been his entire career. But I mean, literally, he has a chapter called Deadlines, all about it. He has one called like Checkboxes, which, you were talking about how you kind of just wrote everything out. He calls that the brain dump, like just seeing the totality of the thing before you is immensely powerful. So definitely you should read this book. But one of his quotes, I have it written down here. I mean, I have 3 quotes from the Deadlines chapter, but let's pick one. They're so good. Like one is, at a certain point, more time does not equal better output. In fact, I think not having enough time is critical to making, and most importantly, finishing things. Like you have to have something to get the thing out. And so just if you let it sit there, it'll never be done, because you'll always be like, oh, I could just tweak this one thing a little bit more, and it could just be slightly like 1% better. This happens in game development all the time, right? You got to ship the game at some point. I'm sure Naughty Dog, Nintendo would love more time to but at some point they got to ship the next 3D Mario. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I like this quote too. We should be asking ourselves repeatedly, what is the essence of this project as we move down the path toward completion? As the delivery deadline nears, we should ask that question more frequently because it helps us remember why we're there and what the point of the whole project is. Like, what is the essence of this thing? And it's kind of like as the time goes down, it forces you to make decisions faster, come up with more unique solutions because you're running out of time to do a thing. Deadlines are immensely powerful.
Oh yeah, I feel that in my soul, especially like what is the point of this? Like you have to ask yourself that, or else, especially in such a long project, you just like start to meander, and then it's like, what? Like, it's just, I don't know if we'll get into this like heavily, like
I would like to
throughout this conversation, but like with in regards to specifics, like what I've been going through with like my Paper Mario thing that I was working on. It's just like what Adam is saying here is just like, oh man, like that is what was like driving me crazy. Is like, what is the essence of this? That kept ringing in my head. Like, what is the point of this? And the point ultimately like did not justify the lengths that I was going to, is what I felt. And I had to like cut loose from it.
Let's talk about it right now.
Okay.
You started working on a Paper Mario retrospective. I think it's fair to say in the same vein as your Star Fox or Pikmin retrospectives. And as someone who's done their own version of a Paper Mario retrospective with Chapter Select Season 1, I feel you, dude. So I played through all of them back in 2021. All the games in an odd pattern, but still played all of them. I guess except Paper Jam. We did not include Paper Jam.
I wasn't going to include that either.
All right, cool. Just checking. And you've been working on it. I don't remember for how long, but it's been a stretch. You played all the games. I think like 140 something hours of footage or game time.
That sounds about right. I think I posted because I ended up calculating, tabulating all through my footage, and I think it came to about 140 hours.
Yeah, Paper Marios are beefy. They're surprisingly beefy.
But
you recently, I think maybe a week or two ago, said you're like, it's on ice.
Yes.
For now. And you kind of, I'm not making fun of you, just the in general, like you tweeted out like a picture from a Google Doc. It's like that classic Twitter thing of like, here's a screenshot from my notes app. I apologize.
Like, oh no, controversy.
Controversy. Exactly. And I really appreciated just the honesty of admitting openly to your fans, the audience, people in general, like, I'm really struggling creatively with this project and I need to walk away from it. And so I wrote a couple of things down. But what I really there's one particular quote I wanted to pull out if you don't mind me reading it really quick.
Of course. Yeah. No, go ahead.
This is you. I'm quoting you to you. Quote, I felt like I needed more of a sure thing coming off of my previous retrospectives. I didn't fully anticipate how difficult it would be, and I didn't do the prep I needed. I just followed the same line of thought as I did for Pikmin, which worked because of my experience with the content, and that I had a clear vision from the very start. End quote. That was that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't mean to do this, but I did write down an Adam Savage quote from that book, again, to bring up to you here, which was, he's talking about, this quote is, understanding this difference between what a project should be and what it wants to be, and respecting the gulf between them is key to fulfilling one's potential as a maker.
Oh.
And to me, that
I need to like go over that a few times for it to like fully sink in. But no, go ahead.
Right. So I felt like that resonated with what you were talking about there. It sounded like you went into this project thinking it would go one way. But as you got into the writing process, which is really in this format, in this medium, or telling a story, that's like that's the meat of the thing, right? Like that's the block of marble, and you're like chiseling it away, and you think it's going to look like this, but it's fighting you as you're trying to sculpt the thing. It's like, no, I want to be this other shape. And I felt like what Adam was talking about in this particular quote toward the end of the book kind of matched up with that, because I experienced that with my journey to becoming a map maker essay. It started out as like, I'm going to talk about how cool Wind Waker is, essentially of like how you can explore this world in a map. But that essay, within a month, warped into this thing about my own struggles as trying to like break into the industry and become through guide writing, and how taking the hobby and turning it into a grind of work, because guides are the backbone of these websites. The demand is so high because it's all about the current trend thing. Like you are constantly chasing trends, and it just like takes something so amazing like Red Dead Redemption 2 and grinds it into like this weird pulp in my brain. And it completely transformed that essay into a far more personal. It basically was me in the end saying, no, I'm taking this back. Red Dead is mine. You can't have it, former work Max. But that wasn't even on the radar when I started the thing.
Yeah, right?
I was like, Red Dead's a cool
crazy.
map. Maybe I'll mention it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I kind of like flowed with it there. Let snipped the bonsai tree, and it became the shape it was supposed to be. Whatever sort of Karate Kid, Adam Savage analogy you want to throw in here. You tell me, but to me, it sounds like you were struggling with, you wanted the project to be something, but it wanted to be something else.
Yes. Yeah. I think, oh man, with this Paper Mario project in particular, I think the series is just such a mess that it's hard to like it's hard to understand what the purpose is. It's like, and that's why it has such a polarized response to all the games, because like I mean, there's like, on one hand, you're playing these games and there is a line to follow. There's a very clear line to follow that I was following, going into talking about like the classic like trilogy, so to speak, which were all directed by the same guy, Ryota Kawade, I think. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but
neither am I, but that is the name.
People often say like, oh, we want Paper Mario back the way it was before. We need this guy to come back and make the new ones because he got it. And then there's a very clear shift in philosophy guided by Miyamoto. This is like discussed to no end and is viewed very negatively. And like, at its logical end, people are like, Miyamoto killed Paper Mario. And in my head, like when I was diving into this project, after my experiences with the other series, I was like, Miyamoto didn't kill Paper Mario. There's no, like, it's not just him. Like there is like a reason for everything. And so diving into the research, like when I was thinking about it in my head, when you play Super Paper Mario and you're playing this wacky game.
Oh, it's a weird one.
It's like very clearly a Mario game in a weird way. Like it feels even more like a Mario game than the previous Paper Mario games because it's like a side scroller.
It's a platformer.
It's a platformer. Yeah. And it's not an RPG really. I mean, it has RPG like I'm saying this with like enthusiastic air quotes, like RPG elements. There's not really you level up by like, and you get like a pre-assigned like stat bonus. You're not actually like building a character or anything like that. It's a Mario game in that way, and it feels like, in weird abstract ways, it feels like it really is like really happy to be a Mario game in that way. Like you have these segments where you turn into an 8-bit Mario character and you just run through like stuff, breaking stuff weirdly. It's like such a weird tangent for that kind of game to go. And then you like experience the story and you realize that this is a story that Mario is just kind of there. All the Mario characters are just kind of there. Like they have their moment to shine as individual characters. Like, I mean, Luigi like definitely has like the most spotlight, but like I felt as I was playing the game, like that the rest of the characters were just kind of there. Like they didn't really impact the narrative in any like meaningful way until the very final act, where you have like the kind of cliche like, I'm going to help you guys push on, but you have to leave me. And that's where they get their moment to shine in the final act. And this game is like, so it's like trying to be a Mario game, but it's also really trying to break away from Mario. And the Mario characters are just there, but it's really a story about these two other characters, Count Bleck and Tippy. And they're like, you know, Tippy's like whole saga of like rediscovering like who she is, and like rediscovering like them rediscovering each other, and like all like their tragic like romantic history to like throw the events of the plot into motion. And so the game feels like a parody of Mario in a way, while trying to like be something completely different. And like it feels so conflicting as far as like how the developers viewed what they were trying to do, and then transitioning from there to a game that is like completely sanitized of all that. It's like a brain breaking in a way to like see that transition. And so what I came to realize through mostly the writing and like what I found compelled to say about the early titles was like, I feel this way about these titles, but when I get to Sticker Star and Color Splash, which I surprisingly really enjoyed,
yeah,
for very different reasons, it felt almost like what I wanted to say about that game felt almost hypocritical in a way, and conflicting with my feelings on the other games. And so like I wanted to say all these things that I loved about, you know, the Thousand Year Door, I guess. I honestly don't feel as strongly about the Thousand Year Door after playing all the games.
Right.
And like I was worried of like, you know, what happens when I've spent like 2 or 3 months like building up this thesis, and then I get to the end and certain sections it feels like I'm speaking as two different people. And my thesis at the end, like the one thing that I was following was like, as a fan of this series, it doesn't make sense to be a long-term fan, because Paper Mario is like very clearly with its like atmospheric shakeup, like, and how the writing changes from game to game, like even from Color Splash to Origami King, the way they treat the two like companion characters like Huey and Olivia, like just the way that those characters are portrayed, like to me it conveyed this idea of like, you know, we're constantly trying to target a new generation of players to bring them into this alternative take on Mario, where like narratively it's easier to connect with like specific aspects and also easier to like disconnect from them if you feel like it doesn't resonate, I think. Particularly like I think with like Olivia, she kind of felt like more of a character design, like written to appeal to like a younger like Zoomer type audience, like the Zoomer type humor, and that didn't connect with me.
Love origami.
Well, it was like the sense of humor. I feel like it was kind of like the like lol random type humor that I felt like was not hitting with me. Whereas like
they
Huey,
love Super Paper Mario.
Yeah. So like in my head I was like, if this series is not meant for me anymore, why am I trying to connect all of these games when they're not meant to be connected?
They're
Why am I
not.
trying to find a thesis for this? There is none. And that, to me, I was like, if that's the thesis, what is the point of the entire project? Like, what is the point of playing them all in like showcase, like, convey like my individual perspective? It just like it didn't. I don't know. It just once that came to me, it was kind of impossible to like move forward and be like, this is time well spent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt that there was like a kind of a sunk cost into the like fallacy into the amount of time that I put into it, where I felt like I had to finish it. You mentioned I said I needed a sure thing because I knew that these retrospectives were consistently a hit on my channel, and so I was like, I didn't even think about where the type of journey that I would take with a series. I was just like, I'm just gonna play them all, and hopefully it's like Pikmin, where I feel strongly about all of them, which I don't.
So had you not played all or most of them beforehand?
No, I had not played all of them. I have played the first three, which I have like clear like nostalgic ties to, from Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, and Super. And then I tried Sticker Star back in the day and bounced off of it real quick. And that was when I was like, yeah, this, I don't know if like this is for me anymore. And when Color Splash was first revealed, because it was so closely resembling Sticker Star, I was like, I'm not even going to bother. And then Origami King came out. And for me, I was like, this actually feels like a middle ground, so to speak, between like they're taking more steps back to what people have been asking for a long time. That ultimately end up feeling like half steps a lot of the time, but they are steps. And I felt more compelled to give that a chance. And then I played it for a few hours and I was like, I hate this game. I hated it. And so my relationship with the series is like extremely turbulent.
Yeah. It's similar boat as you. I played the first. I didn't even play the first one. I just played Thousand Year Door and like half of Super. So love Thousand Year Door, so near and dear. And dabbled with Sticker Star because I borrowed it from a friend on the 3DS. I did not buy Color Splash. I'm like, I don't want this. And then I bought Origami King at launch, but didn't play it until a year later for the show.
Mm-hmm.
But when it dawned on me during that run of that season, that I was like, oh, Paper Mario has never been like we'll bring back the first two, like the style of the first two. Paper Mario has never been consistent in that way. Like it's always been reinventing itself within the confines of what a 2D character in a 3D space could do, like from a mechanic perspective. Like it's always been that. And the Thousand Year Door is actually the anomaly. It's not Sticker Star's not the problem. It's Thousand Year Door's the problem because they iterated and refined. They didn't reinvent. And even Paper Mario is in and of itself like a step away from Super Mario RPG, where it took that RPG style and was like, well, what can we do if we change it in this way? And so it was another reinvention. So like Thousand Year Door is the problem, not not Sticker Star. But when that dawned on me, I was like, oh, I can take these games for what they are without feeling like they're so far from the grace of the almighty Thousand Year Door. And I love Thousand Year Door. I've played it countless times. It's so near and dear. And the fact that they finally have re-released it from the prison of the GameCube is so joyous to me, that a whole new generation of people who quite honestly have grown up playing Sticker Star and Color Splash now get to play this. I'm almost curious. Is there someone out there like, what is this Paper Mario game? This isn't Color Splash. Give me Huey again. There's probably...
Give me the Saturday morning cartoon vibe that is just purely wholesome and purely like a very visually impressive, simple exploration of like the Mario world.
Mm-hmm.
I think Color Splash is very good for attempting that. Like, I think it executed on that philosophy like very well.
I think Color Splash is the best looking Paper Mario game, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that game is beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it so much. That's just the interesting thing about Paper Mario is it's never been. So really, the series itself is at this inflection point of where does it go now? Because they've truly given the people what they wanted. They're like, here you go, take it.
Yeah. That was like the catalyst for me really wanting to do this as well, is like, okay, like 1,000 Year Door is coming. It's real. Like, and as a wider point, like it's like Nintendo is signaling like we're reevaluating how to treat Mario RPG games. Like, we're going to go back to Super Mario RPG, which nobody thought was possible.
And not even that. I mean, again, this is a little bit later into your production process, but then Mario and Luigi are revived from the dead. It's like, Mario RPG is actually a thriving subgenre of Mario games now? What is going on?
And they release all these games within like a year of each other? That is crazy. Like,
we eating good out here is all I'm saying.
Yeah, seriously. And so, that was like my catalyst. And I think when I started, it was like, oh yeah, I can get through this and, maybe I can make a point one way or the other where the series should go. And I think originally I was like, you know what? After all of this, they've tried to do the Nintendo thing, which is like, we're not going to say no to any idea too far-fetched. Like, we're going to try, if it compels us and feels like it will gel, like, we're going to try it. Now we're at a point where maybe, what if the developers just want to make an RPG? Like, it's been long enough that if they just want to make an RPG and they can use, like, current technology to, like, change how that plays out in a Mario context, like, they should be given the freedom to do that instead of feeling like constrained by like, no, it has to be different every time. Because then if it has to be different by mandate, then it's like, is it really like inspired? Like, I feel like you have to, I feel like based off of what I read in my research, that it wasn't so much that like they felt forced to abide by these like mandates. I think from like a character perspective, they probably did, but as far as like a design perspective of like, going from like the sticker mechanic to like Color Splash and then moving away from the RPG tactical like turn-based gameplay, or not the turn-based, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted to do. Like, when Sticker Star was in development hell, it was going through a rough development. They didn't know what they wanted it to be. And Miyamoto was like, this is boring. Like, I think about what if the 1,000 Year Door like received another game following it that was just like the 1,000 Year Door or just structured the same way? And what if it wasn't a hit? Like, what if it was what if that was the point where it started to feel played out? Like, then people would be feeling really differently. And so there's a parallel universe where Sticker Star is that game where they are trying to emulate something without like the same level of like inventiveness. And it just falls flat, even while trying to be like the other games. And so their process, through that hardship, was discovering a new way to like offer players a Mario turn-based adventure that like the whole point was never even to hard commit to RPGs. They wanted to make a Mario adventure game for all kinds of players, regardless of skill, with action games. That is what Miyamoto said in the very beginning when he made Super Mario RPG. Well, when he decided to get Super Mario RPG made, was he wanted a Mario game that anybody could enjoy, regardless of their proficiency with action games. And so that was the line that they followed with these new games. And so if you think about it, like, RPG elements conflicted with where they ended up following, like with these new gameplay concepts. And Sticker Star was messy. It's not a great game, but there is something there. And they saw that and they decided, we really want to iterate on this. We really want to improve on it using all the lessons that we learned. And so, like, it's not like they're reluctantly, like, doing this because it's being forced upon them, but that's the line that they decided to follow. And it just doesn't align with what fans have been hoping for a variety of reasons, mostly that, like, it feels too different and that it doesn't reach the same, like pinnacle of, like, quality that the original games did, I think.
Yeah, it's almost like Paper Mario to Thousand Year Door is the same thing Sticker Star to Color Splash. Like, they're the same things.
Yeah.
Just exploring
that's how I felt.
Different types of gameplay. Which is an interesting way to look at it, as they're two pairs. And following that logic, then Super and Origami King are the standout weirdos in the group. I mean, Super Paper Mario is a weird game.
Super weird.
So, like, what a game. So goofy. But yeah, it's interesting though that the community, and I was a part of it. Now I'm at the point where, like, you can make whatever you want, slap Paper Mario on it, and I'll look at it at least, you know. But I was definitely a part of the problem of saying, like, well, just go back to Thousand Year Door. Like, come on, what are you doing? And clearly, though, and they've obviously listened to us to some degree now at this point, right?
Yeah.
But clearly it didn't deter sales, even on the Wii U, where this series has been consistent since the N64, which you cannot say for most of the other series that Nintendo has. For different characters and IPs. Obviously, 3D Mario and Zelda are constants, but Metroid, Donkey Kong, F-Zero, Star Fox, like, they don't get the same level of treatment. Like, Paper Mario is given better treatment than those franchises, which is crazy when you actually sit down and look at it and think about it. So clearly there's something there that checks a box in sales and within intelligent systems and things like that. So it is a series that is a mystery in some ways to study and follow. I get, like, it would be tough to tackle a retrospective on this. And I think...
And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I think that's, like, it's so fascinating and interesting. And I think that's also why it makes it so hard to walk away from, like, from this project. Because, like, you know, even, like, early on in the project, I was starting to feel doubts. And I asked some other friends, like, I was kind of venting about it. And I was like, guys, like, I don't know, like, what my thesis is going to be. I feel like the only thing that I keep coming back to is that, like, there is, like, so much conflicting ideas throughout the whole series that it makes it incredibly difficult to understand. And then they were like, dude, that's interesting in and of itself. Like, you should follow that and let that guide you. Let the fact that it doesn't make sense guide you and capture that and convey that, because that's probably a feeling that a lot of people resonate with. And I feel like that's also probably what allowed me to stick to it for so long without giving up, because it's been like several months of me, like, chewing away at it. But it just, like, I don't know. I think there is something there where maybe I could come back to it, but I almost feel like I need to restructure the entire piece to focus entirely on that instead of like
Sure.
going into the same thorough detail regarding each individual entry that I try to do. Like for at least the Pikmin one is like, I tried to, like, I felt so strongly about so many aspects of those games that I wanted it all to come through. But I think with this, like, there needs to be more restraint also with like the number of games and how much I could say about them. It's like almost impossible to get through.
Yeah. I don't delete all your footage.
I'm definitely not. That is a lot of footage to go to waste.
Don't delete that. I am reminded of a practice that Stephen King does, which I learned about in his book called On Writing. It's another book recommendation for you if you haven't read it. Even if you've never read a Stephen King book, which I think I had only read one at the time when I read that. But one thing that he does is when he finishes a book, now this is, I'm going to twist it and apply it to you in a minute, but when he finishes a project, he prints it out, puts it in a drawer, and doesn't look at it for 6 to 8 weeks. He doesn't even like look at it. And then he comes back to it, reads it, and then things just like I should have done this.
You have
I should do this.
idea how much that resonates with me.
And so what I would say to you in this you're in this downswing with Paper Mario, this particular project of like, how do I talk about Paper Mario? You've walked away, you've already put it away, and I would encourage you to just, I know we just talked about it, but like put Paper Mario away.
Yeah.
And in 6-8 weeks, 6-8 months, you can come back to it. Like the subject of Paper Mario isn't going away. Obviously, there will be a new Paper Mario game. Like that is a surefire thing. And if you need that extrinsic deadline, when they announce Paper Mario in the paper mache mystery, you can use that as like fuel to come back and reassess this. But I think putting it away in the drawer and just letting it collect proverbial dust will be healthy for your creative process and how you want to talk about it if you decide to come back to it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And yeah, I mean, when you said that quote, it just hit me deeply. Not even so much in the sense that like, walking away from something or putting it away for an extended period of time once it's completed. Like, not even just that, but like, honestly, even in the middle of a project, having the flexibility and the freedom to walk away for a few days even, and then come back to it refreshed is like alters my perspective in a way. Yeah. And I think that's part of why the writing process takes so long for me, because subconsciously I'm like, if I allow this to take more time, like I'm going to think of things that I would not have thought if I had rushed my way through it. And that is challenging to deal with because of the platform that we're on. And like, always feeling this constant pressure to be uploading. I have this like, this deep seated like fear where if I go too long without uploading something, like people are going to like completely forget that I exist. Like I spent like 3 months or so working on my Sea of Stars video, which was by far my worst performing video, my biggest blunder, so to speak, as far as like how it performed for me. And
it is at the bottom.
Yeah,
I don't
worry. I've like reconciled with why I think that is, and there's very specific reasons I think for that, and stuff that I've learned from, and I can find value in that for me personally.
Yeah.
But when I put that video out, there was like a comment that was like, I totally forgot that who this guy is, and when I saw this video in my sub box, I had no idea who this was from. And that comment had like 10 likes. And then like the other comments, like that video did not draw. There's a lot of barriers to actually absorb that video. there's a lot of spoilers to be wary of.
I was going to say
and
I've not watched it because I'm waiting to
Yeah.
play Sea of Stars. I'm going to guess it's about, in some way, about how those two games are tied together narratively, because Sabotage is connecting all of this, and I'm aware of that. I remember I had some buddies interview Sabotage before Sea of Stars was even announced, and they were working in the press and just told them, like, yeah, and so what we're doing is actually like building this world, and our next game will be like a completely different genre type thing, but it will be in the world of the Messenger. And they're telling me that, like, I knew this was what Sabotage was doing for a long time, and that's cool and unique, and is kind of why, it's a factor to why I want to play Sea of Stars, besides the fact that I played the demo, it's really good, so I just want to play more of it. So yeah, I do understand what that video is about. So that's a natural deterrent, just like Outer Wilds, where we started the show with. It's like, I want to watch your video, but I can't yet.
Yeah, and like they both have that deterrent, but I think, no disrespect to like Sabotage, Sea of Stars, but I think the fact is that like Outer Wilds at least has also had more time to kind of like stew and like gradually pick up players, whereas like I think Sea of Stars was still kind of fresh when I was it was weird, like I felt like I was in a kind of a middle ground of it being too fresh for enough people to have had the same experience I did, where I played through Sea of Stars and then I was so blown away by it that I had to play the Messenger, so I played both of them back to back. And that fueled that entire pursuit of that video. And like I missed the window of it being quick to the punch, that people looking for videos to see if they'd be interested in the game. I missed that, which wouldn't have really mattered actually, because of how in-depth and into spoiler territory my video goes. But I kind of missed that relevancy window, and there hasn't been enough time for enough people to absorb it, where like people may be more invested in this world building idea and more inviting of like that kind of video.
This could be a video though with a long burn on it, because Sabotage will make another game, because they are building towards something. So it could be something that down the line people find and engage with and go, well, how did they do this? And it could be. I'm not, it's interesting. But you talking about this video actually is kind of a natural segue into this other piece of this puzzle that I really wanted to talk with you about.
Sure.
Which is the packaging of a video, like the presentation of the essay to the stranger. Like, your time is going to be well spent watching this. This is like kind of like what we're trying to promise people, or you'll be entertained, or you'll learn something. Like, we're trying to draw someone in, right? And say their time is worth it. My parents, my dad in particular, he'll see the runtime of this podcast and be like, dude, this is too long. I'm like, people listen to it, man. Like, and it's the show, and beyond that, it's a show I want to make, so I'll make whatever I want. So they saw my first video, this essay, and they're like, 45 minutes. Ugh. And they watched it and they liked it and thought it was good and stuff, but they're like, dude, your video's too long. And then they see the second video I made, which is 10 minutes flat, and they're like, this is the best thing ever. And so
I've been through that.
Yeah, this angle of packaging a video, and the way I at least wanted to approach it was your most recent one, which is called The Game Saving 3D Platforming. Did not start out called The Game Saving 3D Platforming. It had a very different thumbnail, which I provided input on the original incarnation of it. And so I kind of wanted to ask why you came to repackage it, because it started out one way, and then you put a tweet out, got some feedback, and you redid the thumbnail with this like mystery silhouette presentation, and then a new title. Actually, both of which I think serve the point of the video, which I watched after making the original thumbnail. I think it fits it a lot better. So I'm actually like this moved in a positive direction for that particular subject. What caused you to like reach out? Was it just not tracking well? Was it you just were like, this should be doing better, this is good?
Yeah,
Like,
so
I don't know.
I have a developing philosophy regarding this sort of thing, and I think maybe some people are sort of resistant to this idea because it's kind of like an uncomfortable realization, in that, you know, a lot of people say like the YouTube algorithm and all that, you know, sometimes it's completely random, sometimes it's pure luck that your thing is the thing that gets picked up. I am very resistant to the idea of it being luck. I think that there's always something that you could have done better. And the reason that I feel so strongly about that is because, you know, if you just accept that it's luck, if you just accept that, you know, even if I did improve, like, you know, it's out of my hands, then it will be out of your hands and you won't be able to reach for the success that you're looking for.
Why
you
even
have
get
to
better? It's just going to be luck.
Exactly. And so you have to like be open to the possibilities. And I think one thing I've noticed, you know, maybe more so in the essay space, where people are, you know, doing more personal stuff along the lines that some of my other videos, and maybe like, I don't think Brian feels this way, but like along the same lines of Brian's videos and like your map making video, people are resistant to repackaging. I found in my experience from just networking from other people, that's probably unfair. I think some people are resistant, and I think it stems from that personal connection, because it's like it really stems from the goals that you have with your like content. Like if it's purely for expression, but you do kind of want some traction, but what you really want is to like artistically express yourself, then changing stuff can feel compromising to that, you know, like that artistic integrity. I don't feel moved by that, like almost at all, really. Maybe that's too strong. I don't feel as strongly about that as maybe some other people do. And I think my like unique circumstances play into that, where like I really want this to be my main thing, and I've been trying to make it my main thing for years now. And like I kind of need it to be my main thing, because like the amount of effort that goes into some of this stuff, like I don't know if I can keep that up with like a full-time job on the side and like a family in the future, which I want. There's no way I could juggle all of that. And so like I think I could if I can keep pushing. Like I think I've seen enough to know that I can get there. Like there's a real chance that I can get where I really want to be. And so because of that, I'm open into like doing whatever it takes. And so you know, I have a few videos, you know, some of which we've talked about, which would include the Star Fox one that came out and was kind of a dud on arrival. Like I put out the Star Fox one. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but that Star Fox one had a very different title too. The first title was Star Fox Deserves One More Chance. It was like an artsy fartsy title that didn't really convey that this is a full series retrospective on the freaking development history too, and like my opinions on all of the games. And that didn't land. I changed it to like maybe just like Star Fox full series retrospective or something like that, and that didn't land. And several months after the fact, I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose at this point. I'm going to do something that I thought was shameless. And I'm going to title this video kind of the thing that I don't really like on YouTube, which is like the excess culture. I played every Star Fox game. Here's what I learned. And there's a part of me that is like, oh my God, really? You did this? Like, you're playing into that culture? but that's what I needed, and it worked. And my rationalization, like, and what I mean by it worked, like that video exploded immediately after I changed the title. Immediately after I changed the thumbnail, I changed the previous thumbnail was like the Star Fox Zero characters and then text at the bottom that said like full series retrospective. I changed it to the meteoric rise followed by the tragic fall or whatever. It's almost like a meme, like the rise and fall. Like that is so played out, I feel like, on YouTube.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's a reason for it, because even if it doesn't resonate with me like super like artistically, like it clearly resonates with the audience. It clearly draws in the audience. And that's what I really needed from the title and the thumbnail, because I feel confident enough in my work to be like, maybe this doesn't reflect 100% the vibes that I want to convey with my work, but if I can get them in the door, like it's worth it, because once they're there, I can show them like me, like what I want to show them, how I want to be different. And so I feel like, there's kind of a science to it also, in the fact where like you can title a video like that is in a niche that is proven to be resonant, and it has a greater chance at succeeding. And also, like, kind of keeping things simple is also very effective. Like, I went through a very similar thing with my most popular video, which is like which is probably going to reach over 500,000 views, which is like a largely like positive video about one of the most hated like Nintendo consoles, like underappreciated consoles. I framed that video purposefully in a way that I felt would get people interested, which was like comparing it to my disappointment with the Switch and like my frustration with that, which was a very real thing that I did want to convey. But the original title was like, I struggled so hard to title that video. It was like Nintendo's biggest failure was their greatest idea, which is like what I wanted to get across.
And that's the zinger at the end of that video. That's like, because I just finished it yesterday, I think, while cooking dinner. But you were saying, what was it? It was like
a struggling Nintendo is a creative Nintendo.
Yeah, that's like how you close it, which is so good. Again, really great line, and I love the way you styled it with the red and the blue. Like that was
Thank you. Nice. I appreciate you pointing that out. But yeah, like that video, like it went through the same exact process where it was like complete dud for me, and it's hard to reconcile with a video that took another 3-month process that I bought a $600 camera for, like, to realize the vision that I had in my mind and learn how to use like a DSLR camera. It was like very like demanding and like financially, like I was very financially invested in this, and I kind of needed to do well. So I changed things, and the same thing happened. Like I made it simpler. I made it something more resonant with a much wider audience, more direct, and that
direct
catch. Yeah, like that caught on, and like I got my return on that. Like straight up, I got much more. Like, I mean, it's difficult for me to say like, yeah, I'm really getting my return on my hours put in, but like, I mean, I made it like a like if I could get that kind of return on most of my videos, I would be in a really good spot, I think. And so from those experiences, that made me realize that, like, you know what? I'm very skeptical of the idea that your videos are not getting attention because, like, it's just unlucky. Like, or, you know, maybe your subscribers are not seeing it in their sub box. I'm very resistant to that idea as well. I think there's like YouTube is very good at getting the video in front of the person that is like most likely to watch it based on their like recent history, like their recent viewer history. And so like if it's not getting there, like I think there's a pretty specific reason for that. And so that has made me very accepting of the idea and open to change, and honestly divorcing like the title and thumbnail from my often like artistic intent, if that's the cost, which is probably like not a very attractive premise, but it is what it is for me, at least. And it's totally different when like you're just doing it as like a hobby or something. Like by all means, like do what is comfortable for you, do what is right by you. But that's what brought me to Twitter, and brought me to be like, listen guys, this is flopping and I'm not really sure why. I'm all ears. I want even if you think it's a garbage video, I want to hear it and I want to know why. And that saved that video, because like I had to almost adopt an attitude towards it that I would say is kind of shameless, in the same way as I approached with the Star Fox video. And this is like almost a guilty admission for me, but like the reason I went with the silhouette approach to the thumbnail was purely because I saw another video that was blowing up, going crazy because of that silhouette thumbnail approach. And there's another channel called I Am a Dot, who is like new, like upcoming creator who is like very skilled.
I've seen them recommended a couple of times, I believe.
Yeah, this guy's very skilled, very like
the games where you're not the main character.
Yes.
2.3 million views.
2.3 million. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot to see if that will stick. And I was very conflicted because I was trying to like find ways to like differentiate it. And like I was like running through all the reasons in my mind to not almost copy that in a way. Like, I mean, I didn't straight up copy it, but like,
but you took inspiration from it, or maybe you could even say you stole it.
Yeah, yeah, which is quite controversial here.
I want to talk about that. So I believe I've watched. Sometimes YouTube doesn't say I've watched something when I'm like fairly confident I did. Pretty sure I've watched his or their Paper Mario's Not So Secret Glue, aka Paper Partners, is his thumbnail, which sounds
a great video.
Slightly familiar to someone else's in the call here.
Sure does, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot to say about Paper Mario Partners. Yeah. And I have seen the thumbnail for the Metroid video, but I have not watched it. But I see the silhouette one, which is in stark contrast to the rest of their performance. Not saying like they have more views than I could even dream of. But the rest are in like at the high end, you've got 100,000. I think that's his next highest video. 2.3 million. Like it. What? Where's the secret sauce there? Well, silhouettes. What? Okay, one of these is Stray, but I can't figure out the other two. It's a mystery. Will I click? Will I find out?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean it's clearly like very resonant, and sometimes like YouTube also like likes to try to, I mean, the way they present data to you is like often kind of controversial in the fact like it messes with your self-worth, the whole like 1 through 10 ranking, which is like people are very mixed on.
There's a data is a blessing and a curse in any form.
Yeah. And it also will tell you, to give it some credit, it will also point out things to you that like are helpful. Like, sometimes it can be the case where your topic isn't just as widely appealing as you may thought it was, because you made a freaking hour-long deep dive into a universe that requires you to play 2 games to fully understand the appeal of. Like, sometimes that is just the case.
Sure.
And that's part of, like, that's something that you do have control over at the end of the day. And I think, like, you know, when you really crack the code of, like, getting into, like, those millions of views, like, that is a combination of, like, you picked a topic that maybe you just felt strongly about and got lucky in that regard, or maybe you identified that this is something that is, like, so resonant on, like, to anyone that has played a video game. At the end of the day, that's what that video is targeting. If you have played a video game as a character, that video is potentially enticing to you. More enticing than if you are strictly invested in this particular series that, like, I'm covering in a retrospective, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I think that's partially, I think he's doing really well with a lot of his videos. I haven't watched all of them, but one thing that I feel that he is, like, succeeding in is almost kind of conflicting with my style in a way, where, like, my videos are heavily, like, reliant on my personal experience and conveying that through, like, my story with a game. But I think he's hitting on aspects that are, like, they almost feel objective in a way, like, in the way he presents them. Like, I think he's very skilled at that, and, like, just has a very, like, intelligent way of, like, presenting his thoughts, and so it's resonating on a wider scale.
Mm-hmm.
That's my takeaway from it. But sometimes, like, that means that his video is gonna hit 2 million views and the others are maybe not gonna, they don't have that ceiling, you know?
Yeah. I almost, if a video of mine, like, popped off like that to just an astronomical number like that, I would almost feel even more conflicted. Like, what did I do? I've been doing the same thing. Like, I didn't, you know?
Yeah.
What did I do right this time? Or what did I do differently?
One thing that is funny on the, like, similar note that, I mean, you might be aware of this. I don't know if he's, like, talked about it, like, publicly or not. I think he has, but, like, Rasputin's, you know, his, like, the tentpole, like, series on his channel, like, the gaming for a non-gamer. He put that out when he was, like, unsure of, like, the future of his channel in like, finality. Like, he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to continue, and he had very low expectations for that video, and that was the one that just hit on an unbelievable level.
And
when you look back, yeah, when you go back and look at that video, like, I think now it's clear, at least to me, like, why that video hit so hard. And, like, not everyone maybe has a partner that is, like, open to, you know, going through that experiment, but
right, being a guinea pig.
Yeah. But I think because we love to connect over games, I'm sure we've all had that desire to, like, get somebody who's not a gamer into their favorite hobby. Like, I remember being, as a kid, like, trying to get my mom to play freaking Mario Tennis with me, and her not being able to hit the ball back. But it was like, that was so interesting to me. It was like, I couldn't fathom, like, that being so challenging for her.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, like, just, it makes sense to me why that is so enticing to a, like, wide audience. Yeah. But it's like ironic, like, the place in which that came from, and, like, him thinking that it was going to be
this
very
is the end
niche appeal
when it was really just the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a great moment and thing for him. Sometimes I get very stubborn with a thing. I'm like, I'm going to call it this, whether you like it or not.
I'm glad you're going here, because I wanted you to go here.
And I do this in all my stuff. I have a podcast called Chapter Select. That is a god-awful name. When you, like, really think about it, it means something. And I think when you're, like, deep in gaming, you get it. Like, you can pick a menu, and it conveys some, you know, you can pick the level you want. But like you're just glancing around. Like Chapter Select is a dumb name. I know that, but I'm also stubborn as all get out. My Naughty Dog history is called Chasing the Stick, which is just like a dog version of Chasing the Dragon, which I think is involved with like drugs. Like you get it. Like, I think that's what it is, chasing the high. It has nothing to do with Naughty Dog. Like it's just a dog thing. I get the very creative writer brain of like this will be a clever name.
Yeah.
But really, there's like two reasons to like at least why I'm making videos like this. I have a story and a perspective that I want to share, whether that's personal or just topical. Like, here's what I noticed about a game mechanic, or here's about, my struggles with coming up with a guide, or, my next, actually, you inspired one of my next video. I have 2 that I'm working on right now, like in pre-production. Okay. But you talked about how you read one of my posts about Raz, and I told you that was like around the time that my wife and I had our first miscarriage, and that's something that I've been open about. I talked about it when we found out we were pregnant for realsies, which would have been the 3rd time, and so then that got me thinking. I'm like, huh, and I kid you not, I woke up at 3:40 the next morning, and I was like, oh, I could do an essay about this, and. Today, actually, I hit like the outline stride, and I'm like, okay, this is the structure of the thing. So, like, that's going to be an incredibly personal one.
Yeah.
Or it could talk about, here's how Fortnite stole from The Last of Us, which could be of it. Who knows? That is not in production. Please, everybody, calm down.
I can only imagine the response to that.
Could you imagine that response? I can't wait for it. So I get attached, but really, the other hand, so I do this to tell a story and share a perspective. And as someone who's been writing online and creating things for 15 years, I know what it's like to have no one read anything. But I do want people to see it on some level. And a thumbnail and a title is like how you draw them in. It's the book cover at the bookstore. It's the movie box at Blockbuster. It's the trailer before a movie, like you're seeing a movie and you see the trailers or whatever. It's like, oh, I'll go see that. Or I'm interested in that. I'll keep tabs on it. And you've already done the first thing, though, in the making of it. Like you made your Star Fox video. You told the story that you wanted to tell. Like that part has been achieved. And if you want this part to follow it in any meaningful way besides just letting it out there and just letting the world happen to it, whatever that may be, the natural search results, the luck.
Yeah.
Then you'll call it the deep, mysterious dive of the retrospective history of a fox in an airplane. And like that'll get 10 views.
Yeah.
Or you could call it, I played every Star Fox game. Here's what I learned. And that gets you where you are now and draws people in. And then you're selling them. And I say selling them in not the like businessman sense. You're selling them on your ability as a storyteller and as someone who makes something that is worth their time. And then once you grab them there, once you get them on this side of it, like that you're a storyteller that they enjoy, well, then you've got them for life, as it were.
Yeah.
Raz, what did my, gaming for a non-gamer? I forget the subject of it. I remember Shovel Knight thumbnail. I know he obviously did Breath of the Wild eventually, but whatever it was, like that got me in. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. And now he's had me for however many years that's been, right? And I haven't watched every video he's put out, but I'm locked in, And I think in talking with you here that I've realized or been reminded, because I've learned this in the past with other things. Sometimes you gotta let part of it go a little bit so that it can grow and become a bigger and better thing. I mean, it's we have to make certain decisions to prune the thing to make it what it's supposed to be. We can't your Paper Mario video. I think it's going to be one way. It's going to look like this. It's going to be presented in this fashion. And that'll get the people. But maybe for it to rise to its occasion, to its true potential, because your Star Fox video is great, or your Wii U one. I call it your Wii U video. It's clearly your love letter to the Wii U.
Wii U video.
Like, for it to rise to the occasion of the quality that you have presented here, sometimes you've got to, I'm going to say, like, stoop to the level of the, the clickbait or whatever. And that's like,
yeah,
it has a derogatory kind of nature to it, but I don't mean it in a negative way. I remember I made a couple of videos a while ago, like of like my game collection or something, in like a studio tour, and I like leaned way into like this over style, and I had fun with that. That was very creative, fun, just to like lean into the clickbait. And I've done my fair share of SEO driven writing for websites like DualShockers and IGN. I've written some headlines and articles that I personally think are gross. So I get that, but you're reminding me that, maybe I have to give something up. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not changing the name of my Zelda video because people are stupid.
I mean, I feel like with that Zelda video, like, I mean, I already told you how I feel about it, but I personally felt that it's like doing what it needs to do. I mean, like, for anyone not familiar, like, what you're going through right now is your video is titled like what Zelda stole
Fortnite's best mechanic. It probably should be called what Zelda stole from Fortnite or whatever. Probably would be better from an algorithmic perspective. But yeah, I called the video Zelda stole Fortnite's best mechanic, which is it's truly just comparing their skydiving mechanics and the similarities they share, and how one's for multiplayer and one's for single player, and how they keep you engaged in that way. And I just remember I was writing the script and I was like, so the segue to Tears of the Kingdom talk will be that Zelda stole it. Like, that's really cool. You're reading the back of the box on the book, you're reading the cover, and it's like, oh, that's what gets you to come in and read it. Not a like dirty clickbait, or as I've learned, the term rage bait didn't even cross my mind. I'm like, obviously they didn't steal it. Zelda's had skydiving.
What you're doing is not rage bait. Like,
okay, thank you.
I strongly feel that what you have done is not rage bait.
Okay. And well, apparently, according to the comments, I'm out here raging.
I see the line of thought, but it's like, to me, like, I mean, no disrespect to the people that calmly explained to you how they felt that it was like rage bait.
I loved those people, but they were the first ones there.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like it's like a hyper fixation on that word stole.
Yeah.
Without considering like any of the context. Like, I told you that, like, I think maybe there's a world where you could be like a little bit more clear and literal, like, guys, I don't mean like stole in like the malicious sense.
Oh yeah, it was almost like if I could have said that in there. I've thought today and yesterday, I'm like, maybe putting quotes around stole would soften the blow.
That could work.
But yeah, the comment section, and so for me on my channel to have 2,200 views on a video in a week is very good for me. Genuine views, not illegal Brazilian film watchers. Yeah. That's really good, and the comment interaction is also quite high for the video. And a lot of people are like, "Dude, you're crazy." Clearly not seemingly understanding. And what I've realized is they saw the word stole, and they immediately made an assumption about me and the video. And there's nothing that I could have said in the video, which I think personally explains what I was talking about clear enough. Where I obviously did not mean stole. like stole.
And that's like immediately conveyed like by your tone as well. Like you don't even have to literally say it. It's like your tone conveys like, it's a tongue in cheek like segue, like, and it's like it's flattering. It's like the kind of like, oh, you stole that, like that's like flattering that you would steal from me, like you were inspired by me, like that should be a compliment to Fortnite, or like I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not a compliment I would have ever given Fortnite before trying to play it. Like I was like, before I played Fortnite, I was like, that's the place where Tenet got its trailer debut, while a bunch of characters are dancing and doing the floss. It's like, I was not kind to Fortnite in the past, and I've completely changed it because the game's quite fun, especially when you're playing with your friends. And then I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the same feeling. It's the same mechanic. And it's awesome. And that's all I wanted to convey. And then, but it's all because of this title that seemingly, like, both a blessing and a curse. I don't think the video would have gotten this many views without the title. I don't think my thumbnail testing is doing all the heavy lifting here. I think the title is what's drawn in this level of interaction, but it's also drawn in this vocal minority of people thinking that I'm either dumb or I'm a Fortnite kid, or somehow I'm a Fortnite kid. Even though I say literally at the start that I just played it for the first time 9 months ago.
That was wild. Like
that was probably one of my favorites.
Dude, one thing, I think like, are you familiar with Iron Pineapple? Okay, he's a big YouTuber that does like, he's known for like Souls, like Dark Souls.
Okay.
Content. He has this like running series that is just like people love, and it's like he calls it like Steam dumpster diving, where it's like he's looking for like Souls like games that people like nobody else is going to cover this game. It's very like obscure. And so
I played another 7 Souls-like games you've never heard of.
He's got a ton of those. Yeah. And so I've heard him say this like numerous times, like people really, because he's at the level where like he gets that stuff all the time. And usually it's like on social media where like he literally cannot express an opinion without people on him from both sides. It feels like it's crazy. And like, he said like YouTube really needs to like add a feature where like when somebody comments, it shows next to their comment like how much of the video that they watched, because that would clear up so much confusion and deter people.
Steam does that, right? With like how long you play a game.
Yeah, and so like clearly, like in your case, like this guy did not watch the video when he said like a Fortnite kid is whatever. Like,
oh, that's so good. That would be a great feature, huh? That's genius.
Yeah, we need it. YouTube, Neil, please get on that.
But to kind of like bring it back to the packaging, like I've struggled with this for a week. I actually, my wife was like, "You got to stop looking at it." And it's not like this was like driving me to the point of utter madness. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was just like, I was getting frustrated that they couldn't see my point. And then when I was writing my behind the scenes, I was like, oh, they never wanted to see the point. They just saw the word and immediately latched onto the negative thing and said, well, how could they ever possibly steal? Nintendo would, or this guy's an idiot, which a lot of them said in so many words. But I really struggled with like, what is best for the video? What is best for me? Do I stick to my guns on this? Like, I know my intent behind the title, or do I need to change it to appease the proverbial masses? And so I've stuck with like, it's going to have the word stole in the title. Like, I'm keeping it this way. I have come close to just adding the quotes. I think quotes could help soften the blow, maybe.
Yeah.
But I remember one guy was like, you just got to put a how in there. The how at the title. I'm like, I don't even answer the question how.
Yeah, I don't know what that is like supposed to achieve. Like,
It was from
I don't know.
That was from a Markiplier fan channel. It's like, I'm out here studying YouTube, and so you got to put how at the start of your title, and I'm like, how doesn't even answer the question. Like, I don't even come close to answering that.
Yeah,
maybe you should just put how at the start of every video.
mm-hmm.
How I miss the old Nintendo. Know. How I'm Pizza Tower pilled.
I think one thing to also consider is like, and this kind of goes back to like gaming discourse as a whole and how I feel about like the cycles of like people feeling strongly one way or the other. I feel like in the absence of opposing viewpoints a lot of the time, like maybe people are just silently enjoying the thing and they don't feel like as strongly as the negative people, and that's partially why the negativity rises. And so like, you know, in the comment section, like you will like, I mean, I think you I read your write up today, and like you broke down like how many comments were negative, how many comments were positive, and how many comments were you know, like you just responding. The breakdown.
Just my straight up response.
Yeah. And so you know, like
there were fewer negative comments than the outright positives, and then you could also just look at straight up likes and dislikes, which were greatly, I think it was like an 80% difference there,
which is like very like almost unanimous. Like 80% is like a really solid ratio. 80. Like, I mean, I feel like maybe I'm projecting a little bit, but sometimes like as creators, like we look at the comments and we think that, oh, this is how everybody feels. Like looking at the makeup of the comments, this is how everyone feels as a whole. But that's not often how it works, because I think about my behavior as a viewer, and a lot of the time I don't comment. I'll just hit like. And I know in my head that I feel strongly that this is a good video, but like I didn't feel like I could add anything to the discussion. So I sat there and nodded along silently and left my impression with a like. And so, yeah, I mean, your ratio is good. Like, I think it's hitting like where it needs to hit, and it's doing well for like a good reason.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been an interesting week. The video is totally like slowed down, which I absolutely expected. So now is the time to rename it, new thumbnail, and throw it back into the machine. If you thought Zelda stole this time, wait till you see now. I might add those quotation marks. I'll think about it some more.
I think that's a way better alternative than like anything. Yeah, anyone else
still keeps it 5 words, which I think shorter is better in general, or simpler.
Yeah,
like, you know, it doesn't need to be so flowery. And go from there. But yeah, it's been an it's like the one thing I didn't expect to learn or have to go through with this video is like, put it out there, it'll be great, and I'll move on. I was like, turmoil.
Yeah,
it comes out of nowhere. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's a journey learning to deal with comments, because there's like, you know, the ones that are like really absurd and that make no sense and that you can just laugh off. And like, then there's also the ones that are like poking at that one thing that maybe you are a little insecure about, and you're like, oh man, like
at least
those are the ones that get me.
Yeah, they always do. The ones that like hit on a nugget of truth, and it's like,
yeah,
you've pierced my armor. At least no one called out how I totally just mispronounced species. It was like species or something. It's like no one.
Honestly, that must have washed over me too, because I'm
all for it. Keep watching.
I remember picking up on that,
because the whole edit, I had this little to-do box over that line, like re-record, and I got to the end, and I'm like, never mind.
I've been there.
You're hung up on the one thing, and no one even cares when it's finally out. It's so good. Well, thank you so much, Wiz, for coming to the show. I think that wraps it up. It was a wonderful discussion to have you on. it's been even more wonderful to get to know you over the last 2 months. It's been an absolute treat. Thank you so much. The fine folks, of course, can find you over on YouTube at Wizawhat.
Yep.
Patreon, Wizawhat, Twitter, Wizawhat everywhere.
Wizawhat everywhere.
Which is
Yep.
dream handle status. You can just say Wizawhat everywhere. It's so good.
Yes. It is a blessing.
You can find links to all of that in the show notes in your podcast player. You could go to maxfrequency.net/MFP-40, and that will take you to the show notes as well to see all of the stuff we talked about, the videos, the people, everything will be in there. As for myself, you can go over to maxfrequency.net. That's where all my writing exists. I guess YouTube now. I guess I do these things now. At Max Frequency, able to get that one miraculously, feels like. So you can do that there. And then my other podcast, Chapter Select, which is a seasonal retrospective podcast where we bounce back and forth between a series, exploring its evolution, design, and legacy. I'm playing through Metroid Prime 2 Echoes right now, so that Metroid Prime season is still rolling along and in the swing of things. So that's coming up. But we've got some content rolling in the feed on a weekly basis, pulling out of the failed membership tier of the show. We're putting out all that content, so you can check that out. And soon, probably my favorite thing I made last year will be our Pokemon Battle series, where we battled all 10 mainline Pokemon games, like in a consistent versus each other all the way through.
Oh, that's cool.
It's probably my favorite thing we made last year, and no one paid to see it, which is totally fine. I've accepted that. So I'm finally happy people will be able to see it because it's awesome. I think it's awesome. So I'm excited to get those rolling out here on a weekly basis before too long. So look forward to those, please. Thank you, everyone. But thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, adios.
Bye-bye.